Story 1. The Siren of the Frozen Lake. It was the winter of my unraveling, a few years back, when the ink on my divorce papers was barely dry, and the weight of a broken life pressed heavy on my chest. I was a man adrift, seeking something, peace, redemption, maybe just a breath of air that didn't taste of regret. Christina, my girlfriend then, saw the cracks in me and suggested an escape, a place where the world's noise couldn't follow. We found it in upstate New York, a sleek, modern house perched on a lake's edge, its glass walls reflecting snow-dusted pines and a sky heavy with silence. I booked it for a week, desperate for the solitude it promised, a refuge from the chaos I'd left behind. The house was everything I'd hoped for, a sanctuary of polished wood and stone, its massive windows framing the frozen lake like a painting. The woods around it were thick, the nearest neighbors mere shadows of empty vacation homes, their lights long extinguished in the off-season chill. It was just us, the snow and the quiet, a perfect reset. The host, absent but thorough, left instructions for keys and quirks of the place, standard rental fare. But when we arrived that first morning, a small package waited on the steps. No sender's name, just a scrawled note. Enjoy your stay. Stay warm. Inside, a tiny box of matches, an odd but quaint gesture, we thought. Christina laughed, calling it upstate charm, and we tucked it away, our minds already on the week ahead. Those first days were a balm. We hiked through snow-laden trails, our boots crunching paths no one else had touched. Evenings melted into nights by the fireplace, hot toddies in hand, the world beyond the lake forgotten. The snow fell steadily, not a storm, but a gentle veil, softening the landscape into something pristine, untouched. The house itself was a marvel. Its master bedroom on the second floor boasted floor-to-ceiling windows and a skylight that let us drift to sleep under a tapestry of falling flakes. The patter of snow on glass was a lullaby, a reminder that we were cocooned, safe. But paradise has a way of cracking. On the third night, deep past midnight, I woke to a sound that didn't belong. The storm had thickened, the snow now a near blizzard, its howl muffling the world. Yet beneath it, faint but insistent, came a mechanical hum, a whine that cut through the natural rhythm of wind and ice. My heart quickened, memories of late-night runs with Jay and Anthony surfacing, when instinct had taught me to trust the prickle of unease. Careful not to wake Christina, I slipped from bed, the cold floor biting my feet, and crept to the window. There, on the frozen lake, a snowmobile crawled, its headlight a weak spear in the storm. It moved slowly, deliberately, as if testing the ice's strength. I squinted, the snow blurring details, but the driver's shape was clear, hunched, cautious, alone. Odd, I thought, for such an hour in such weather. People rode snowmobiles here, sure, but at this time, in a blizzard? My mind churned, grasping for logic. Then the machine stopped, dead center on the lake, and the driver dismounted, arms flailing in wide, frantic arcs. A shout carried, faint and garbled, but enough to spike my pulse. They were facing the house, our house. Dread coiled in my gut. Did they know we were here? Was this a signal, a plea? I woke Christina, my voice low, urgent, spilling what I'd seen. She rubbed sleep from her eyes, worry creasing her face, but nodded as I dressed, layering against the cold. I stepped onto the deck, the wind a blade against my skin, and that's when I heard her, a woman, her voice breaking through the storm, raw with desperation. "Help! Thank God someone's there!" she cried, her words tumbling over themselves. "My boy! He's lost out there in the snow!" Her sobs were a siren's call, piercing the night, and my resolve hardened. A child in this storm wouldn't survive long. I shouted to Christina to stay put, laced my boots, and started for the lake, my breath clouding in the frigid air. The ice held firm, a small mercy, and as I closed the distance, her form sharpened. A woman in a heavy fur coat, her hair braided tight, her face half hidden by the storm. She was frantic, her hands wringing as she spoke of her son, how he'd run off, vanished into the blizzard. My mind snagged on her words. Run off? Not fallen? Not wandered from her snowmobile? Doubt flickered, but her panic felt real, her tears glinting in the dim light. I was about to press for more when her voice shifted, a smile curling through her words. "You still got those matches?" she asked. Time stopped. The matches, the package, the note. My blood turned to ice as the pieces snapped together. She'd left it. Not the host, not a stranger. Her. Before I could move, her hand dipped into her coat and steel flashed. A gun, its barrel steady, aimed at my chest. Wallet, phone. "Now," she said, her voice stripped of tears, cold as the lake beneath us. I complied, hands shaking, the storm swallowing my fear. She climbed onto her snowmobile, the engine roaring to life, and vanished into the white, leaving me alone on the ice. I ran, slipping, shouting for Christina as I reached the house. She was already on the phone with police, her eyes wide with terror. I locked every door, pacing, my gaze darting to the windows, half expecting that snowmobile to circle back. The cops arrived an hour later, their flashlights cutting through the snow, but the storm had erased her tracks, her existence. They found an old boat ramp across the lake, their best guess at her entry, but no vehicle, no woman, nothing. Christina was a wreck, sobbing as I recounted the gun, the matches, the lie about her son. I was furious at her, at the host, at myself for seeking peace in a place that betrayed me. The host refunded the trip, his voice earnest, swearing he knew nothing of a package, but doubt gnawed at me. How did she know we'd be there? Why the matches, the elaborate ruse, for a wallet and a phone? I wondered darkly if my ex-wife's shadow lingered, her laughter a ghost in my paranoia, though I knew it was unlikely. Airbnb was useless, their answers vague, and the police had nothing to chase. The lake house, once a refuge, became a trap in my memory. A place where solitude turned sinister, where a woman's cry lured me to the edge of something I'd never understand. I haven't returned, and the question lingers. Was she a thief, a predator, or something worse, waiting in the snow for a man foolish enough to answer her call? Story 2. The Shadow in the Attic. The lake house in Northern California was my family's sanctuary, a 2-story haven of weathered wood and wide windows, where summer weeks bloomed with memories. As kids, my sister and I ruled its attic, a dusty kingdom where we'd camp in sleeping bags, our puppy yipping as we peered through a lone window at the lake below. It was magic, until we grew too big for its confines, and the attic became a vault for our grandparents' relics after they passed. Chairs, lamps, trinkets stuffed with their love filled the space, bittersweet sentinels of a childhood fading behind us. By the time I was in college, the house stood mostly empty, its antiques too precious to rent out, tended only by landscapers under my parents' watchful eyes. Then came the tenant, an elderly veteran, a craftsman of antiques, small and disfigured, his white hair wild, his beard a greasy tangle. My dad, swayed by shared military respect, leased him the house for a year, trusting he'd honor its history. We kids weren't thrilled. His gruff voice and odd demeanor unsettled us, and losing our summer retreat stung. But money was tight, college bills loomed, and we swallowed our unease. My parents kept tabs through landscapers, a quiet check on their trust, and for months all seemed well. The house stood as it always had, a beacon of memory waiting for us. That changed when whispers reached my mom. The landscapers, working nearby yards, spoke of the man's habits, how he'd sit on the porch, his eyes fixed on children by the lake, his stare too long, too hungry. They hinted at worse, details too vile to repeat, and my mom's saintly heart turned to steel. She raged at my dad, calling the man a predator, demanding he be gone. My dad resisted, his respect for the veteran's service clouding his judgment. But by the lease's end, he caved. He spun a gentle lie, renovations, no power, no plumbing, and the man left quietly, his belongings cleared with help from the landscapers. Relief settled over us, the house ours again, or so we thought. A year later, my sister's college graduation sparked a reunion. My parents, eager to reclaim the lake house, flew us out, their new black lab mix bare in tow, a bundle of energy my sister hadn't met. We arrived at dusk, The lake a mirror of fading light, the house warm with promise. Bear paced inside, ears twitching, as we headed to town for dinner, the empty kitchen leaving us no choice. He seemed restless, but I chalked it up to the long trip. A flicker of unease brushed aside. We laughed over burgers, the summer stretching ahead, unaware that the house held a secret waiting to break. Back at the house, the air felt wrong, thick, charged, like a storm brewing indoors. Bear lay at the stairs' foot, panting, a smear of blood pooling beneath him. My sister screamed, the sound tearing through me. My mom fumbled for her phone, 911 on her lips, as my dad grabbed a kitchen knife, his face hard. I followed, a blade in my hand, heart pounding with memories of nights with Jay and Anthony, when danger felt thrilling, not real. We searched room by room, the silence oppressive, until we reached the top floor. My dad froze, his gaze on the attic hatch. Cracked open, a sliver of flashlight glow spilling out. Fear rooted me, but my dad was a force, yanking the hatch, climbing without pause. I stayed below, shame burning as I listened for a struggle. None came. He descended, voice low, torn. "It's him," he whispered. "The tenant." My mom stormed up, her scream shattering the quiet when she learned who hid above. She called the police, her fury a wall my dad couldn't breach. He wanted to let the man go, his sympathy a puzzle I couldn't solve. But my mom's wrath held firm. The cops arrived, hauling him down, frail, broken, a shadow of the man we'd feared. A house key gleamed in his pocket, proof he'd never truly left, defying my dad's claim of changed locks. Bear survived, though his wounds were deep, a miracle amid the horror. My dad refused charges, his silence a wedge that sparked the worst fight I'd seen them have. My mom and sister begged, but he wouldn't budge, his pity for the veteran, a man who'd stabbed our dog, beyond my grasp. The lake house, once a cradle of joy, became a wound. We haven't returned, its attic now a tomb for innocence lost, where a man we trusted turned predator, his shadow lingering in the beams. I see Bear's blood when I close my eyes, hear my mom's screams, and wonder why my dad spared him, and what else that attic holds waiting for another summer to claim. Story 3, The Signal Across the Water. Last summer I was 20, reeling from a breakup that left my heart raw and my nights restless. My name's Kevin, and my friend James was my lifeline, a kid born to wealth I could only dream of. His family owned homes across the globe, but their lake house, on a secluded stretch of water ringed by mansions, was his playground. Big enough to feel grand, small enough to see the other shore, the lake carried an exclusive pulse, a quiet power that set it apart from the ocean's roar. James had free reign, his parents ghosts in their own empire, and he'd throw parties that echoed across the empty estates. No neighbors to complain. But that night, it was just us. 2 guys, a cooler of beers, and a dock stretching into the dark, seeking solace in the lake's embrace. We sat under a sky heavy with stars, the water lapping soft against wood, my breakup a weight we didn't name. The lake was a mirror, reflecting the silhouettes of unlit vacation homes, their owners elsewhere, leaving the night to us. I was mid-sentence, laughter easing the ache, when a light caught my eye, a flicker across the water, sharp and unnatural. At first I thought it was a trick of the sun's last gasp, but it persisted, blinking in bursts, deliberate. I nudged James and we watched, the beers forgotten as the flashes formed a rhythm. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. My gut tightened, memories of late-night adventures with Jay and Anthony stirring, when instinct outran reason. James snapped his fingers, eyes wide. "Morse code," he said. "SOS." I scoffed, half convinced he was joking, but my phone confirmed it. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short, a cry for help etched in light. The signal looped, relentless, then stopped, the lake swallowing its source. We stared, the silence heavier than before. It could have been a prank, kids messing around, but the hour was late, the lake empty. What if someone was hurt, trapped? James wanted to call the cops, but I hesitated. We'd been drinking, underage, and a DUI charge already shadowed me. Logic warred with guilt, but adventure called louder, our delinquent streak alive and reckless. We grabbed switchblades from James's brother's stash, a weird kid's hoard, but they steadied our nerves and eyed the lake. Driving was out, the risk too high. Instead, we dragged James's dad's kayak to the water, laughing at first, the thrill a spark in the dark. But as we paddled, the lake grew vast, its surface a black expanse swallowing sound. The shore receded, James's house a fading glow, and our laughter died, replaced by the slap of paddles and our own uneven breaths. The sun was gone, the lake lit only by scattered house lights, and doubt crept in. We were fools chasing a ghost, but turning back felt weaker than pressing on. The house emerged, a hulking shadow, its dock half sunk, boards jutting like broken teeth. The light was gone, the windows dark, the yard overgrown with neglect. No kayak could tie there, so we beached on the rocky shore, adrenaline surging as we climbed. The house loomed, its paint peeling, a relic forgotten by wealth. James whispered we should leave, call the cops, but no signal reached us here, and kayaking back to Wi-Fi felt like retreat. I'd explored abandoned places with James before. Warehouses, barns, thrills we'd laughed off. This wasn't different, I told myself, ignoring the lie. We skipped the front door, too exposed, and found an unlocked window, slipping inside like thieves. The house was a void, not just empty, but stripped, its floors bare, walls unmarked, as if life had never touched it. We moved silently, blades in hand, through rooms that echoed our steps, finding stairs to the second floor. My mental map placed the light in a corner room, and we crept toward it, my pulse a drum. At the door, I pressed my ear, hearing nothing but the lake's faint hum beyond. James nodded, and I pushed it open. The room was empty, save for one thing. By the window, an old projector hummed, its lens aimed outward, a ghost of the signal we chased. My stomach dropped. This was no accident, no cry for help. It was a lure, a trap set with care. James bolted, his footsteps loud, and I followed, panic erasing caution. As we hit the stairs, a door, maybe a closet, slammed open behind us, rapid thumps chasing us down. We reached the window, James diving through, me scrambling after, the footsteps closer, heavier, real. Outside, James cursed. The kayak was gone, our escape stolen. A figure burst from the house's side, big, fast, a blur in the dark. I gripped my blade, ready to fight, but James leapt into the lake, clothes and all. I followed, the water a shock of ice burning my skin as I swam. The shore was a beacon, James's house, its lights a lifeline miles away. My arms screamed, my lungs fought, but fear drove us, the lake our only path. We reached the dock, half dead from cold, and stumbled inside, locking every door. The police came, slow and skeptical, finding nothing across the lake. No prints, no gear, just an empty house, abandoned for years. James's parents raged, banning me from their world, threatening lawsuits against a town that cared too little. The cops called us reckless, their lecture a sting, but the truth cut deeper. Someone had watched us, planned this, lured us with a signal meant to trap. Who were they? What waited in that house if we hadn't run? My friends call it a prank gone wrong, a coward's game. But I see that figure in my dreams, fast, faceless, chasing. The lake, once a thrill, is a warning now, its depths hiding a truth I'll never know, a signal that still blinks in the dark when I close my eyes.